Hi all, this is Akshara Menon from Famous Bazaar. I'm delighted to welcome you to the sixth episode of Alternate Universe Season 2. Our topic for today is the prudent growth story, MDF-centric, confident and consistent. Highlights of the transformative journey of one of India's leading wealth management firms. We are having an engaging session ahead featuring an inspiring speaker and two distinguished moderators who will provide with their expert perspectives on the remarkable growth story. To dive into the theme, let me introduce our speaker for the day and the trailblazer of the wealth management industry. His journey reflects not just vision but also innovation and commitment to empowering investors. We are privileged to have Mr. Sanjay Shah, Chairman and Managing Director of Prudent Group. Starting as a chartered accountant, Mr. Shah's journey has been nothing short of an extraordinary. In 2000, he began with a mutual fund distribution and over the years transformed into a holistic wealth management platform. Recognizing the potential of technology early on, he introduced the pioneering digital platforms like Funds Bazaar, Policy World, and Wise Basket. Today, Prudent Group is a leader in the industry with over 1 lakh crore of AUM, a vast network of over 31,000 distributors, and 2.9 million of SIPs contributing over 800 rupees monthly. Under his leadership, Prudent has been a set benchmark for innovation and client-centric solutions. So moving on to the moderators of the day, Mr. Vikaas M. Sachdeva, known for his dynamic approach. Vikaas has over 30 years of experience in asset management business as the managing director of Sundaram Alternates. He has been instrumental driving growth across the platforms and asset classes. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So moving on to the next, Mr. Arjun G. Nagarajan. Arjun brings over 12 years of experience in equity markets as a chief economist and Sundaram Mutual. He has contributed to significant economic discussions, including Niti Aayog.
Thanks a lot.
Welcome to the show, sir. Yeah. Now, before I could proceed, I'm thrilled to share an exciting update that ties directly to the webinar series. The Alternate Universe Season 1 has been transformed into a book encapsulating the best insights and learnings from the various episodes. It's now available on Flipkart and Amazon. For your convenience, you can find the link on the Q&A box as well. And this is the first page of the cover page of the book. So this is all I could say today. Over to you, Mr. Vikas.
Thank you, Akshara. Sanjay bhai, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Vikaas. Yeah, thank you very much.
There are three things which are happening for the first time, okay, on this show. The first is obviously that I'm talking to you. This is the first time we're talking on a formal platform. Otherwise, we've had great interactions one-on-one. The second thing is, like Akshara was mentioning, the book has just been launched, and this is the first time they're actually talking about the book on a show. We had 12 guests in our previous show, and I think the response has been very encouraging. The third thing is that I'm doing this show from our newly inaugurated office in Chennai. Okay, we've just shifted into a new office, and it's a privilege to do this show. This is the first show that I'm doing from there. So I thought that I should mention to you that आपके आने से दो चीजें और आ गई हैं. It's a very शुभ beginning for us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
So Sanjay bhai, as is the norm, we've done some research on you. This is for a section called the person behind the professional. We've done some research on you. We've spoken to your friends, mostly your colleagues, and some of your ex-colleagues. And I thought I'll just start off by sharing some of the insights your universe of people who know you have shared about you. Should I start?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I kept asking people, define Sanjay Bhai in one word, two words, give me some adjectives. I think the adjectives they use for you are your very grounded nature, your very patient nature, a patient demeanor, and almost everybody mentioned that you have an exceptional ability to listen. Okay, and one of the other things I found is that people are very fond of you. They feel that you're very approachable, and yet there is this respect. So the respect is not because you're the owner of the firm, not just because you're the owner of the firm or whatever. It is because they can relate to you. They watch you every day. They can relate to you. They look upon you as a rare blend. I'm just quoting their words of humility and strength. Your functioning style is very inclusive. you are very democratic in terms of how you do things, and you inspire confidence and collaboration. You actually foster an environment. I've been told by your colleagues that you create an environment wherein people are encouraged to speak up. And that is where they think their ideas are heard and ideas thrive and they excel. At a personal front, you're a cinephile. You love movies, okay? And you never miss the opportunity to unwind with a Friday night movie. You're usually found in theaters on a Friday night. And one of my favorite genres is light-hearted comedies. Okay, that I think I can also understand. You're very jovial by nature, so this probably ties in very very well. You love reading, and I think anybody who's seeing the shelf behind you will think that it is something which is very obvious. But you love business-centric books. You're quite adept. In fact, one of the things I keep hearing is that you read so many books, and when it comes to making a presentation at a public forum, be it MFDs, be it stakeholders, be it whatsoever, you normally glean a few things from the books and you present it. You weave it in very, very well. You're a very passionate traveler. You venture out every quarter. I think it's what 3 quarters with family and 1 quarter with friends is something which I've heard. You love to discover new places. Safaris in Kenya and Morocco are very, very special to you. When you're on the road, your favorite vehicle is an SUV of your choice, which is a Defender Range Rover. Okay, that mirrors your love for rugged sophistication. That actually also shows the sort of aggression that you have. They say that a car reflects that person. The person might be one thing in public, this thing, but the car you drive and how you drive reflects the person's true nature. So this is indeed something which you love. You love timeless melodies. You're into retro music. You're a great fan of Kishore Kumar's classics. In fact, you love singing as well. And at one point of time, you had undertaken singing lessons. Now,
Yeah.
that's something I would have never guessed. I would have never guessed this. You like, you basically like showing off Indian culture at every forum. More often than not, for example, you'll be found wearing elegant Modi kurtas at functions. You're a complete foodie. You love spicy food, and you're an unabashed vegetarian. Uh,
Yeah.
you are very, very sharp in Excel, and you have an extremely meticulous attention to detail. In fact, what I believe, what people tell me is that they have to be very ready before they come to you with any proposal or anything to discuss, because you can pick out a number from anywhere and ask a question on that. You value flawless execution, and you expect the same amount of dedication from people around you. And frankly, if you don't see that, it rankles you. It does get to you, but it doesn't show on your face. People have to be very careful to see. I mean, people have to be very observant to just see that little bit of irritation, which is usually reflected in your eyes. From your facial demeanor, it is very, very difficult to find out whether you are irritated or not. I actually have a lot more, but I'm just going to be cutting it very short. This is very interesting. This honesty, even I didn't know. And viewers will be amazed to know that your life story is one of resilience and transformation. Some of the things about you. You come from a very humble background. You faced tremendous challenges as you grow, including setbacks. In fact, nobody will believe this, even I did, that during your 10th standard, you actually passed only in one subject, which was typing.
Yeah, I
Okay.
failed it also. This. Yeah.
But it was your encounter with your then girlfriend, then now wife Nikita, that has caused a profound change in you. With your unwavering support, you managed to do your CA, and that has laid the foundation for an amazing career. In fact, family is the cornerstone of your life. Your wife Nikita, your better half Nikita, now spearheads CSR initiatives at Prudent. I was in LinkedIn and I saw this post and I was quite touched when I saw that one of the moments with your dad, you gifted him an SUV, and his expression was so much that he was overwhelmed. It was such a touching moment. You got two amazing daughters, Maitri, who drives digital acquisition at Prudent, and Sakhi, who's a successful. She studied law and she's successful in public policy making. She's quite passionate about it. Did I get that right?
Perfect. Perfect. Very perfect. Yeah.
Last but not the least, people see you as an inspiring example of how grounded you are, basis your extraordinary achievements as well. And there's normally this thing which says that good guys finish last. It is the sharp and more sharp edged guys which actually race to the top. Your example is a beacon to show out to people that good guys do finish first. So that's what I heard, and it was an amazing discussion with so many of your colleagues that I thought I'll just share this with you.
No, I think it's very, very touchy, sir. I think would not have expected this kind of feedback from the people who has worked with me. So I think Tahe Dil se, I think Sukriya to all those who have said good thing about me. I'm also a human being, so there might be some flaws in myself, but people would not have came and openly talked about that. So I admit that these all things always inspire you to become more and more humble and grounded. I am frankly, I can tell you, I'm lucky that I'm a part of very good industry, which has very good people who worked with me, including the people who are sitting on the other side, like you, who are very good friends of us. And real thanks to the entire team and definitely you, who has done a lot of hard work to come out with a lot of personal things which may not be known to the people. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Indeed, a pleasure. In fact, I will pass on the compliments to my team. I think they also worked very hard to do this. And on a lighter note, I really did try to find out some flaws in you, but your team loves you too much. So, uh, Sanjay bhai, let's start off with the show. First of all, congratulations on achieving a landmark AUM of 100,000 crores. You are probably bigger than most AMCs today in terms of your AUM. And why I feel so proud seeing this journey is because I've seen you from some very humble beginnings. I remember that old office of yours where everything was cramped, where you were sitting in a small space and running this entire thing, to your current premises. I feel very, very proud to have witnessed this journey. Uh, if I would ask you to share your journey, the genesis of Prudent, when you started off Prudent, the thought process, the vision, the focus, the various divisions you have, what gaps in the market did you see, which Prudent effectively stepped in very early on, and how did you build an ecosystem to fill that in?
So I think, as you rightly say, I think first of all, I think the when we reached, I can tell you before 2 years we announced the internal target that we want to reach an AUM of 1 lakh crore by end of this year and a SIP book of 1,000 crore by end of this year. Thanks to mark to market rally which has happened in last couple of months, we could be able to achieve that target well in advance. If I'll just give you the reference of this number, in 2014, we were at roughly at about 3,700 crore of total AUM. Today, in March 2024, we reached to 84,000 crore of AUM. So the AUM grew by 22 times. Within that, my equity book was 2,000 crore in March 2014, which is now at 84,000 crore in 80,000 crore in March 24. So I think the equity AUM grew by 40 times. I think that is a real strength which I think which has helped us. So if you look at the entire journey, sir, I think if I tell you the background, as you rightly said, being a chartered accountant, I started my career with the local corporates, and I was handling the treasury of a local company called Jindal Worldwide. And during that phase, which is I'm talking about between 97 to 99, 2000, I think I came in very close touch with senior fund managers, and I started liking the industry, and I found that there is a real gap for quality people to play a very good role as a financial advisor. So that is the first step where I felt that there is a need for professional to enter in this segment. And in 2000, I left the kursi job और मैंने distribution का business start किया. And probably I believe that that was a very nascent stage, and that's why I told you that I'm very fortunate that at the right time I plunged into a right industry. Initial phase was we continued to work on the B2C side. I think Gujarat market के अंदर we had about some 7-8 branches, and we managed the business through the RM model. And another important thing I tell you that we always had the passion to have the system and process well in place. तो अगर 5-6 ब्रांच थी तो भी आई स्टिल रिमेम्बर 2014 में मेरे पास 15 लोगों की टीम थी. हमने एक आईटी का बंदा हायर किया था, विल टेक केयर ऑफ मेकिंग एवरीथिंग प्रॉपर फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ रिपोर्टिंग. उस वक्त से हमारा प्रूडेंट कॉर्पोरेट का वेबसाइट था, खुद का ईमेल आईडी था. सो आई थिंक वी ऑलवेज रेडी टू इन्वेस्ट इन द सिस्टम एंड टेक्नोलॉजी वेरी अर्ली. I think the first change I can tell you frankly came, which was I think the first the change which came very early in my career was when we adopted the B2B2C model in 2007. क्योंकि 2000 से 2006-7 तक तो we continued to grow on the B2C side, but then we realized that if you want to grow significantly from here on, I think you try and resolve the issues also which has been faced by the smaller IFAs. So on one side we were investing in technology, on the other side we realized that there are a lot of problem at the ground level which IFA face or MFD face, और उनका significant time I think customer centric activity को छोड़ के बहुत सारी other activity में जाता है, and we were already investing into this, creating this infrastructure and everything. So we thought let us enter into this segment. Another thing is we found big vacuum in this. There was only player which is the largest player today in the country, which is NJ. So NJ has created a very good credibility of entering into this space. Baki har ek jagah par, if you look at the entire B2B space, was the aggregator model. Nobody has worked on creating proper back-end technology. So we plunged and we announced that we'll create a very strong platform and we'll take care of every thing which is required to be done by the IFAs or other than the customer facing. So I think that 2006 was a significant change for us. So that is another, I think we could be able to identify the gap and we entered. I think third important thing would be, I can tell you, in 2015 when the entire UPI Aadhaar Jandan movement which came in and we started seeing the entry of fintech player and telling the people to onboard smoothly and flawlessly, we also thought that हमारा भी कोई technology platform होना चाहिए. And in 2016 we launched our Fund Bazaar, which is a very, very powerful technology platform. And when we launched the technology platform which is meant for B2C, पूरा उसका backend हमने ध्यान में रखा था कि the customer which is handled by the partner, they can also use the same platform seamlessly as a partner initiated transaction framework. So we created the Fund Bazaar, which is meant for B2C, supported by entire backend, which is B2B2C, जहां पर customer भी portfolio, customer उसके partner अपने customer का portfolio देख के उसको review करके they can initiate the transaction. So I think the major change came in 2016 when we launched our Fund Bazaar. So I think that is the third thing, where if you look at any traditional player who were established into the market, were not ready to invest significantly on the technology platform. So we are very, very first in that particular phase. So I think from 2016 onwards, if I'll tell you, by 2019 we realized that industry is growing rapidly. Mutual fund distributors are also growing rapidly in their asset management business. They are also getting a lot of traction, but the competition emerging from all the sides. And now you can not remain only on mutual fund distributors. You have to go towards the wealth managers. So I think if you look at our vision statement also, we say that we want to be the preferred wealth manager of masses, supported by the technology. So that is the vision statement, right? So if you want to become a wealth manager of masses, you cannot just go and sell the mutual funds. So from 2019 onwards, we started adopting all the products, whether you talk about the fixed deposits, or NPS, stock broking, insurance. We had the 100% subsidy of insurance, then the PMS AF distribution, all the product we have started. And then we started positioning we wanted to tell our IFA that please don't talk about the mutual fund alone, because gone are the days where you will be able to acquire the customer just by giving the mutual fund as a product. आपके लिए product differentiation will always play a crucial role. So this, I think, it's a journey where at every stage you try to adopt those changes. At every stage you remain agile, that what is happening into the market, what is something which will help you to grow from here onwards. And I think that's we continues to do. And probably we always believe that it is the journey which has been rewarded very well because of all the small decisions we have taken.
Oh, amazing. I think I heard two things. One is spotting opportunities and encashing them, taking that risk. And two is I heard the word technology. Okay. And I am going to circle back maybe a little later and talk to you a little bit more about technology. But for the moment, I think the other question which every entrepreneur faces, and I'd like to have your view on that, is to move from being a private limited company to a public limited company. You are one of the first few in the business who's done that. How difficult has this entire journey been to move from private to public? What were the challenges you faced during this migration from a private to public? And how has being a listed company changed the way you do things, if at all it has changed? How it has affected your strategy, how has it affected your interaction with stakeholders? Some insight on that.
To be very frank, because this is one thing which I have told on the forum also to my partners, saying that you need to think very big when you start your career. And I can tell you, those are themes. If you look at the genesis, when I started business as a prudent fund manager in 2000, where I was having the certificate of practice, and prudent fund manager ki proprietor thi meri wife. In 2003, when I created my own company, मैंने पहले दिन से private word रखा ही नहीं था. The mission and vision was very clear that some point of time I want to go and list my company. मन में ऐसा नहीं था कि you will become a $1 billion company some point of time. So I think the name of the company was Prudent Corporate Advisory Services Limited from day one. But then my goal was always reminding me कि भैया आपका company का नाम limited है. So it's a small thing, right? But that message was I'm trying to tell you is that the moment you created a company, you created that culture also in the organization of organization structure. If you remember, I think when Series joined in Prudent in 2006, I think from day one we have nominated him as CEO. So
Correct.
chota organization
Correct.
tha, but I became a managing director and he has been nominated as the CEO. 2006 की बात कर रहा हूँ जब हमारे पास सिर्फ 20 ब्रांचें थी, राइट? आई थिंक एयूएम होगा हमारा शायद 5-6 हजार करोड़ का. So I think we nominated the CEO who has got an independence of doing the business of the entire B2B2C. Then we got the CTO from day one. We got the CFO. Technology में हमने invest किया था. So I think the organization structure was well in place. Vision was very, very clear that you want to become bigger with the system. With yoga, so you continuously goes on nurturing the team so that that team can also be able to grasp that growth. And frankly, over a period of time, whenever we grew, we have my entire team has also grown with that. So that is first thing. Second, if you remember in 2018, we diluted about 40% to private equity called TA Associates, which is the 50-year-old largest private equity headquartered at Boston. I can tell you, sir, the Prudent is 100% bootstrap. कभी प्रूडेंट एक भी रुपया बाहर से नहीं देखा हुआ है. When we diluted, it was the promoter being a Sanjay Shah who has sold 40% to private equity. तो वो कंपनी पैसा मेरे पास आया था, पूरा सेकेंडरी था. And because TA came in 2018, we were supposed to restructure and bring the Big Four as the auditor. I think as you know, the Karan, who is very veteran in the industry, is on the board of Prudent from the mutual fund side. We had very good person called Mr. Deepak Sood. He was the managing director of a very large insurance company, has remained on our board for a long period of time. Then we had the very good Aniket Talati, he is our ex institute president, वो हमारे board पे. So I think we got a very good board, which is independent board, सिर्फ decorative board नहीं था. Genuinely people who has contributed. So I think the point I'm just trying to make you is that because system and process were already embedded in your culture, and because private equity came in, by the time your market has started railing in 2021, we decided that time अच्छा है, let us give a good exit to our private equity rather than looking for another private equity जो उनका stake लेके वो, because otherwise after 5-6 years all the people who come as a private equity, they required some kind of exit, right? So we thought let us give a respectable exit by listing. To be very frank, listing होने के बाद थोड़ा सा मेरा टाइम और एनर्जी जाता है to talk to the investors, ऐसे, because today if you look at the TA has been replaced by government of Singapore, DSP, Abu Dhabi investment, all this. So you have a very respected name as far as investors are, almost 10-12 murky investors, and they normally want to know what is happening in the business. So वहां पर थोड़ा सा एक टाइम और कमिटमेंट मेरा वहां पर जाता है सर. अदरवाइज प्री TA associates, post TA associates, pre-listing, post-listing, कोई फर्क नहीं है. Only thing is we require to release the results. I think एक चीज मैं पक्का मानता हूँ, because now Prudent got listed, I think entire distribution community can realize that yes, हमारे business का genuinely value है और लोग आपको valuation देने के लिए तैयार है, and that is we have unlocked. I think from the point of every distributor, I think if you invest into system, technology, process, people are ready to pay you for that.
No, absolutely. I think some very, very useful insights. I like that manifestation of the word limited from day one instead of private limited.
Yeah.
That's a very key takeaway. Also, you mentioned about getting Shirish Bhai on board. And I think I've interacted with Shirish Bhai. Wonderful, wonderful person, amazing professional. And I think getting people like him on board is actually the tailwind you need. You know, the human element typically tends to get a little undervalued, but you've got an amazing team. So thank you for sharing those insights. I think my colleague Arjun is on the standby. He's wanting to ask you a few questions. So Arjun, over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Vikaas. Hi, Mr. Shah. It's lovely. It's lovely to hear you narrate your journey. Truly amazing to hear how, as early as 2006, you had the foresight to start running off with a limited company vision in mind, CEOs, CTOs, et al. It's just truly amazing. I'd love to add some questions to Vikaas's. So, one question, I'll start off with MFTs. So, MFTs have actually been the backbone of your growth. Can you talk about the various strategies that Prudent is sort of deployed to add value to all the MFDs associated with it? It'll be lovely to hear your narrative.
I think Arjun, it's probably, if I can, I'll just give you the answer in detail also, but the one line summary for us would be that to try and understand what are the normal issues MFD face day in, day out at the initial phase of the business. Because when you start the business, apart from client related services, there are n number of other activities which you require to do, right? And that n number of activity takes a lot of toll on you. So normally we always tell our IFA or our MFD that, Vaya, if you want to grow, biggest thing which you have to do is to acquire the customer. To acquire the customer, it is only you who will be able to acquire the customer, and for that matter you require to have an abundant time. And to have an abundant time, you need to make sure that all non-core activity has to be taken care of by somebody else, and that is where we come in picture. So now if I'll give you the detailed answer, sir, starting from, let us assume that somebody who start the business has to work towards the having a lot of marketing tools and doing a lot of social media marketing, or the internet based marketing, or the sending a lot of mails and communication to the outer world. We provide entire marketing tools, which is a very big segment which we have, where any mode of communication which you want to do, you can upload the entire database into the system and you do this. That is one thing. Second, once you got the customer, that customer's KYC has to be done, that everything is available seamlessly into the platform, whether somebody has the KYC or he doesn't have the KYC. Then after somebody want to start investing, now the days are gone where somebody will say that please come and pick up my form. It has to be seamless, paperless. We have the very beautiful platform called Fund Bazaar, where within 1 or 2 minutes you can just onboard the customer with the proper mapping to the advisor. Once the customer is there on the board, I think you require to advise the client by creating a lot of portfolio, risk profiling, goal calculator, goal tapping, or probably you're talking about the various mode of SIP, top up SIP, or the trigger facility. But let somebody say that today I'm investing, and if my portfolio earns X amount of return, I want to exit some amount, or by 31st March, I want to liquidate my portfolio somewhere, what it may be. So there are various, so n number of facility which is required by the customer, that everything is available seamlessly on my platform. Once the customer has invested, or let's say, for example, when you talk about the identifying the schemes, the n number of research reports are required. So we have a very strong back-end research team which is providing the list of recommended funds, so we have a list of recommended fund which goes into almost 80-85 schemes. So not like the bank जहाँ पर आप 5-6 स्कीमों का list दोगे, which is also supported by a very strong what you call the research parameters. Then we have a lot of combos. If you want that कि भैया मुझे और कुछ नहीं करना है, आप मुझे ऐसा कीजिए, somebody is at the age of 50 want to invest into retirement funds, तो 6 फंडों का retirement का combo, child education का combo, child marriage का combos are ready. So on click of the button on Fund Bazaar, you can buy, let's say 5 lakh rupees into that combo, 1 lakh रुपए distribute होगा, automatically buy हो जाएगा. So that is what we are providing. Then comes the entire what you call the value chain of customer reporting, whether you talk about the normal gain loss report, indexation report, dividend report, or any n number of report. Another important thing, ये सारे report जो मैं आपको कह रहा हूँ वो family level पे भी available. We have the family login where the blood relationship can be mapped under one login by providing the statutory जो relationship आपके define है, mother, father, brothers, जो allowed है उनको आप map करके you can look at the portfolio. Another very beautiful tool we have is that somebody might be on the Fund Bazaar, but my partner want to send a regular communication to his client about his portfolio. We have the scheduler where you can schedule the evaluation report should go to the customer's email box at a particular moment. It will automatically schedule where आप अमेरिका घूमने गए हो कि आनंद में हो. I think the mail will automatically grow from your email ID to the client. So I think the probably then biggest thing would be once you have the customer on board, customer look for the multiple product. So now if you look at the Fund Bazaar, he can not only invest into the mutual funds, he can buy the NPS, he can buy the corporate fixed deposit, he can invest into a P2P product. If he require loan, he can go get the loan against securities with the click of the button from Bajaj. We have the stock broking available, we have the insurance available. So I think the insurance will go very live now. So it's a product basket in totality available to the client where the entire credit will go to my partner. I can tell you, sir, we have one research which has said that अगर कोई कस्टमर आपके प्लेटफॉर्म के ऊपर मल्टीपल प्रोडक्ट खरीद के एक बार 2 साल दे देता है ना, normally he doesn't leave the platform because he is tuned to that comfort, right? So I think and then this is apart from that, there are a lot of business MIS reports, business intelligence reports. We give them a lot of information also कि कौन सा client का कितना revenue आ रहा है, how are you generating the revenue, what are the SIP renewal reports, SIP reminder reports, कौन से client ने SIP बंद कर दिया है तो उसको आप कैसे reminder भेज सकते हो. Then Apart from this, we also use a lot of AI and BI for generating a lot of customer related leads also. And so I think there are probably, I can tell you, there are n number of activities which do, and that is something which I think give a lot of productivity enhancement to the MFD in their life.
Yeah, wonderful. This is actually sounds like you're the big basket plus Amazon of the financial industry. It's amazing, amazing. I'll add one more question before I give it to Vikas. Now, we've sort of noticed, and you made a mention of this at the start as well. We've noticed that Prudent has always been well ahead of the curve in identifying market trends. For example, your entry into servicing HNI clients through your vast MFT network was one such thing that we noticed. Now, we would love to hear you talk about how you went about this. How did you help your MFDs transition and skill up to address the needs of a very sophisticated audience like HNIs using products like PMS and AIF? But more importantly, what frameworks and cues did you use to ensure that it was sold right? And with this, you would have also faced a lot of challenges. How did you overcome them? That was a long question. I'll just sort of wrap it. Two questions. How did you help your MFDs transition skill up, and what were the large challenges that you really faced in this journey? These two questions.
No, Arjun, it's a very, very important question because I can tell you, we also say the same thing to our IFA or the MFD. And biggest challenge for MFD is to first thing is access to these products because everybody doesn't give empanelment to everybody, right? Because आज की तारीख में there are n number of manufacturers who are in the PMS segment, and within the one PMS manufacturer there are everybody has at least 5-7 प्रोडक्ट है. तो मुझे लगता है म्यूचुअल फंड जितनी स्कीम है PMS में आई थिंक हो जाएगी, राइट? सो इट बिकमिंग वेरी वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स. दैट इज नंबर वन. सेकंड इज, एक तो आपके पास एम्पेनलमेंट का ऑप्शन है. सेकंड, इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर यू टू अंडरस्टैंड ऑल्सो बिकॉज यू नीड टू हैव प्रॉपर ट्रेनिंग, रिसर्च, information available, right? So if you do not provide this product basket to your client, we have always learned that you acquire the client because of different product, not because of mutual funds, and that is where the banks and the larger IFA win over. आज कोई एनडी हमारे रिटेल आईएफए के क्लाइंट को मिलने के लिए जाएगा, कहेगा सर आपका 2 करोड़ का म्यूचुअल फंड आपके एडवाइजर के पास रखो, 1 करोड़ का एआईएफ मुझे दे दो. सो ओवरनाइट हिज 50% AUM will go, right? So that's the reason we always tell that at least go and tell that you are not a mutual fund distributor, you are a wealth manager, and we provide them the curated portfolios. So we said that we have, let's say for example, today we are empaneled with almost 34-35 quality PMS AIF service providers, and within the all the PMS AIF service providers, we have identified a couple of skills which are easy for retail to understand. Not the exotic product like long short fund. Normally we will not try and give unless otherwise somebody explicitly आपसे मांगते हैं तो आप दोगे. Otherwise हमने I think 35 manufacturers की करीबन 80-90 स्कीम आइडेंटिफाई करके रखी है, where we provide the research reports, we provide regular training, we have tied up with the manufacturer also कि sir if required your guys should be available for closer, where who can go and explain the client. My team is also available for the closer. So I can tell you today, on one side, we are saying that we have the aim of 1,07,000 crore, 1,08,000 crore. We started selling PMS AI for seriously for last 2-3 years. I think today our AUM in PMS AI is hardly about 1,400-1,500 crore, sir. 1,500 crore का आज की तारीख में हमारे AUM है. तो I think sizable, मेरी size बनी नहीं है, but we are already able to capture this momentum. तो I think बेचने वाले बहुत ही limited segment होगा, but वो सारे लोगों को हम properly train करते, properly drive करते, we make sure that somebody is involved in the closer, and we do not sell these exotic products जहां पर मिस सेलिंग की कोई गुंजाइश हो. तो वो plain vanilla long only fund या तो strategic fund ही बेचते हैं.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think Vikas has a volley of questions. Over to you, Vikas.
Thanks, Arjun. In fact, I just want to pick up on the last answer which you mentioned, Sanjay bhai, about the fact that the PMS AF AUM is growing. It's a very nascent thing which you've got into. I just want to flip it over to the customer side. You probably understand and analyze the customer very closely through his investment patterns. Would you be able to throw some light in terms of the mindset of an investor in terms of his journey towards wealth creation? Now, mutual funds have become par for the course. Your first step has to be mutual funds. I think this is something which you are talking about, and there are a lot of data sets which talk about that. But are they increasingly starting to ask and adopt alternate assets, for example, like PMS, AIF, REITs? Is there a trend which you are seeing, maybe in terms of the amounts, the net worth of people who are shifting to this, or the geographical spread which is happening? Something which has caught your attention of late?
There are two very visible things I can see. That there is one thing is that One is PMS-AIF selling capability of my advisor. Number one. Number two is PMS-AIF, which has been asked by client on his own from the advisor saying कि सर मुझे यहाँ पर भी invest करना है. I think the PMS-AIF selling capability is normally with those who are above the 50 crore AUM in my system. 50-100 crore की AUM के ऊपर वाले लोगों के पास capability है. और other way around, we target them to train them, because you can't go and explain to 30,000 people who are working with you as a distributor about the PMS, because you have a lot of intricacies to explain this product, right? तो हम 100 crore या 50 crore के ऊपर वाले elite club को explain करते हैं, भैया this is the product which you should always go and talk to the client, because everybody has an aspirational value, right? Because the moment, and another important thing is at the client level, we have seen that if the client's AUM is above 5 crore, if you go and pitch them the product, there is all possibility उसके खीसे से 1 करोड़ दूसरा आएगा, वो पीएम म्यूचुअल फंड 1 करोड़ देगा नहीं, और कहीं ना कहीं से 1 करोड़ लेके आ जाएगा, 50 लाख लेके आ जाएगा पीएमएस के अंदर. So I think it's not that he'll redeem from mutual fund and give. So we normally say that customer has the liquidity, but he doesn't want to give you into the same fund. Okay, अरे यार HDFC मैं तो लेके बैठा हूँ, निप्पन का वही same mutual fund. So I don't know. People have the perception to buy something different, and when you go and pitch, 50 लाख कहीं से निकल आएगा. So we always say that you do a sincere efforts and pitch the customer. And another thing would be that normally when somebody reaches above 5 crore, he always needs some different product in his basket. So propensity or capability of guy above 5 crore has always a better to buy this kind of products.
Understood. So basically you're saying, if I read you correctly, maybe as a customer becomes a little bit more affluent, he moves towards becoming more of an MNI, HNI. Not just his consumption habits, but his investment habits are also changing. He's more open to taking money from somewhere else other than mutual funds and investing. That's a very interesting thing which you're talking. In fact, let me just also ask you a question allied to this. There's a lot of traction which passive funds and ETFs and index funds have gathered off late. Even 10 years ago, if you would have told me that this is the sort of traction which we are going to see, I would have probably not believed you. But with the plethora of ETFs coming in and index funds coming in, how is Prudent positioning itself to cater to this growing demand while balancing it with traditional products and alternatives?
I think first of all, let me give you the numbers. If you look at the September, the AUM was 67 lakh crore. Industry का total, उसमें the ETF and FOF was hardly about 8.5 lakh crore. Within 8.5 lakh crore, your individual having the exposure to this segment was 96,000. 96,000 crore may be largely 96,000 crore may be, sir. Only 28% people has bought through the regular plan, which is about 26,000 crore. So if you look at the split of AUM, regular plan के अंदर 77% asset is advised by the advisor and 23% is into a direct plan. In the ETF and FOF, 22% is under the regular plan, rest is under the direct plan, and direct plan is all your DIY and the fintech platform. Reason being, we strongly believe that identifying the scheme is the domain of our advisor. If we believe that I am able to identify a good fund manager who has a possibility of generating the alpha, number one. Number two is I'm able to create the good portfolio around the customer's requirement. Then if requirement होगा अगर passive fund का तो मैं दूंगा. Still the days are not yet where customer is coming and saying कि मैं fund manager को 1 टका फीस दे रहा हूँ, वो निफ्टी बीट नहीं कर पा रहा है, तो क्यों आप पैसे में नहीं डाल रहे हो? I think that stage has not came in India, but the days are not far. I think that the time will also come. So I try to address two things here. There is one is advisor alpha, another is the fund manager alpha. I think fund manager alpha is pushing people to launch the index fund because consistently they may not be able to generate the return. However, advisor alpha is something which is proven globally, and I can share the report of Morningstar, Vanguard, Russell in the developed economy like US, where advisor has generated alpha in the range of 100 basis point to 200 basis point. So I just wanted to communicate that today we have all the index funds with a 7 basis point fees, which is meant for EPFO. We wish that industry should have the 100 basis point expense ratio wala scheme, jahan par I think advisor will not mind giving that product if he earn reasonably well. That's the point, right? Because otherwise, 7 basis point में अगर so I just given another way look at Prudent has 1 lakh crore of AUM, 18 lakh customers. My average AUM is 5 lakh crore, 5 लाख रुपए है इन्वेस्टर। उसमें से आप टॉप एलिट को निकाल दोगे तो मैं 4 लाख 3 लाख में आ जाऊंगा। अब ना 3 लाख वाले को मैं आई कैन नॉट गिव हिम पैसिव बिकॉज आई नॉट अर्न एनीथिंग, right? So there are two things. Advisor should be able to identify the fund. Even if he wish that he want to give, he is not compensated properly. Because regulatory आप दोनों चीजें नहीं कर सकते. You can't act as an advisor, you can't act as a distributor. दोनों चीजें आप legally कर नहीं सकते हो.
Amazing. In fact, like we keep saying in the alternates business, you either buy the market or you beat the market. So you're clearly in the segment of beating the market. And I think what you're talking about distributors and the important role, most people tend to gloss over it. They tend to think that distributors really, their advice really doesn't mean much. But I think it is well expounded, and in a times of a crisis is when you really understand what a distributor is talking about. But very interesting anecdote that somebody told me a few years ago when we were talking about distribution versus direct. He told me, do you know that you can find Coke in the middle of a desert where you can't find water? Okay. So I says, guess why? Because there's somewhere a distributor who's working on it. Yeah? So I think this is very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Arjun, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Vikaas. Now, before I ask you my next question, I must say I'm truly amazed at how you're exuding so much of energy. Just listening to you, I'm feeding off a lot of your energy. I had a couple of questions. I thought I'll just club them together. So I'm trying to address two sides. One, overseas investors, NRIs, are increasingly allocating large sums of money to India. So from that point of view, do you feel, are there any particular regions or sectors globally that you believe hold untapped opportunities for India? That is one. Second, from an investor's standpoint, how do you think investors must look at diversification across geographies, in the sense outside of India? Should investors actually diversify internationally at all, given that we're an emerging market? So wouldn't it actually make sense that we stick to what we understand and we look at emerging market premiums in that sense? Should we actually diversify internationally at all? So these two questions, these two sides of the same question.
So if I'll try and address first question first, which is NRIs who are situated or settled outside India. When you talk to NRIs today, I think the lot of people who has been creating their bread and butter outside India, they all has an aspiration to come and settle in India. And that's the reason, if you look at off lately, we have been seeing a strong, very strong trend where people say that I want to start putting a lot of money into the India. Thanks to positioning of India in last at least 4-5 years, which is becoming so strong. And I think the globally also people are now buying the story of India being the very strong performer in this Amrit Kaal. So that is the story which has been viewed in the heart of NRI. So that is also one of the reasons which is probably forcing them to come to the India from the point of investment perspective. I think I believe with the GIFT City opening up and they are able to invest into a dollar terms, where the biggest hurdle for NRI investing in rupee terms was rupee, which has depreciated over a period of time by on an average 4 to 5%. That has been the biggest hurdle for them because dollar adjusted return was not great for them. If now they are able to invest through GIFT City in the dollar forms, I think they will be the insulated from a rupee volatility. So that is my first part. Coming to second part, about the domestic investors or the Indians diversifying geographically, I think it is very essential, right? Because today, if you look at from a global perspective, India contribute hardly 4% of world GDP, right? So, आपका home country bias रहेगा, वो बहुत strong है, वो रहेगा ही. However, I think we believe that from a large retail perspective, let them first of all invest into Indian market. When I'm talking about my customer segment, जहाँ पर उनका average investment 3-4 लाख है, where they just started the SIP, I think they may not look at the diversification at the first space because they may not be able to understand, right? Number one. Number two is when you look at the geographical diversification today, if you look at, there are a lot of fund of fund and the index fund which offer you, like if you want to buy the US equity, or you want to buy the Europe equity, or you want to, let's say, invest into Brazil funds, or you want to invest into gold companies, any kind of fund you ask about today, I think today you have those funds in the rupee forms offered by the all AMCs, right? You have the another advantage, which was a disadvantage for NRI. If you believe that rupee, which is at 84, 85 today, अगर आने वाले 10 साल के अंदर rupee is going to go from 85 to 86 rather than 84. So either it will depreciate gradually or it will remain stable. You will also have the rupee depreciation in your advantage, right? Or else if you believe that rupee appreciate होने वाला है, then you have to use the LRS route, or you can use the GIFT City. But I think the answering your question, I think gradually as your asset or your net worth increases, I think it's very natural that you should embrace the global investments also. At least 15-20% हम advocate करते हैं. जो retirement fund में आपको बता रहा था, where we have two combo, retirement fund with global allocation, retirement fund without global allocation in our combo, and we give at least 10 to 15% allocation to global funds.
Wow, that's amazing, amazing. It's really such a pleasure listening to you. Over to you, Vikaas. I think I have a lot of questions. I think in the interest of time, I think you can take on the next questions.
I was just thinking the same thing. Time has just gone by. It's already 5:15, and we've got audience questions coming in thick and fast. So I'm also just going to have one more question, Sanjay bhai, which is in what ways do you see the wealth management industry growing in the near future? There's a lot of things happening. There's AI. There's a lot of discussion happening in terms of like we talked about global products, exotic products, alternates. But at its core, if we were to have this discussion 5 years from now, how would you have seen the entire wealth management industry evolve? You can define the customer.
I think I can tell you very recently I had been to HSBC headquarters to talk about the India growth story, and you'll not believe the one of the analogy which we I talked to the HSBC headquarters was, we just try to look at what, because today when you are into uncharted territory, for you the only reference point would be the developed market, जहाँ पर म्यूचुअल फंड इंडस्ट्री या तो वेल्थ मैनेजमेंट इंडस्ट्री का ग्रोथ कैसे आया हुआ है. I can tell you you look at the US from 1980 to 2000, which was a 20 years period, which was a baby boomer, right, where the 401k was one of the biggest driver, and which has brought huge growth into the wealth management industry. During that phase, the per capita income of US has moved from $12,000 to roughly about 30,000. It gone about 2.5 times probably. And the asset management industry grew, or the wealth management industry grew by 56 times during that 20-year period. And I believe that we are similarly into the similar growth phase, where today in 2022 or 23, the number is about $2,200 was our per capita. In Amrit Kal, which is another 20 years, we are going to reach 18,000. So it's going to be 7-8 times, right? And you look at the, अगर आपका पर कैपिटा 8 गुना होने वाला है, यूएस में तो 3 गुना, तो इंडस्ट्री 56 टाइम्स बड़ी. आई थिंक एक्सेल फट जाएगा अगर आप इसको एक्सेल में डालोगे तो. सो my belief is that we are into a very sweet spot, sir. Whether the per capita will go to 18,000 or 16,000 or 15,000, that you might debate, but it's not going to be going to remain at the same level, right? 2000 ka at least 10,000 to hona hi hai. So if you believe that per capita is going to grow significantly, there are a lot of report also which says that whenever the country moves from $2,000 to $4,000, the disposable income is so large that money will go for the investments. सो मैं समझता हूँ जो भी लोग कुछ भी सोचते हैं इस इंडस्ट्री के बारे में, आई थिंक कुछ भी मत सोचे, लग जाओ, मेहनत करते रहो. आई थिंक ग्रोथ इज गोइंग टू बी वेरी ट्रिमेंडस, वेरी ट्रिमेंडस. Another important thing is, sir, I think there was another report which I was looking at, which says that in 2018 there were about 30 crore households in the country, right? Now that household number will go to almost 40 crore by 2030. But ये जो phase के अंदर, if you look at today, we have almost 50 money, every fourth household has the earning which is less than 5 lakh. 5.5 लाख के नीचे वाले लोग जो हाउस होल्ड 5.5 लाख से नीचे कमाते हैं, नाउ above 5.5 lakh वाले बहुत ही कम लोग हैं. Now that number is going to become significantly larger, and we believe that is the retail mass or the mass affluent, where the retail IFA, MFD, my IFA, my MFD is going to play a crucial role, bringing them into the mainstream.
Awesome. So you're talking about growth in income. You're talking about available surplus for investments. You're talking about investment advice. And then, of course, you started off by talking about technology. When you combine all of these, I think a number of 56 times growth which happened in US probably doesn't look impossible, because then it seems to be a logical pattern. It's geometric, this entire.
Yeah.
I think this is amazing. I think that's a very energizing note to leave people with. So let me just dive into the question answers, Sanjay bhai. We don't have too much of time, so I'll try to take as many. There are already 13-14 questions which have come in. So if I have to just start off, and remember, we have to decide the best question. Some of them which have been answered, I will take it out. how can your partner become part of a listed company or value of advisory? Basically, he's saying that, boss, even I want ESOP equivalent. That's what my understanding. Is there something which you're planning? Because I think there was some
I
asset
can,
management company which had planned that.
no, another way I can tell you that we grow because of the growth of our IFAs or MFD. I can just give you one number to say that why somebody should work with platform, not only Prudent, any platform. We did an analysis of top 1000 IFA of Prudent in March 2024 and March 2014. वो कितने ग्रो हुए और इंडिपेंडेंट आईएफए जो किसी के साथ नहीं जुड़े थे एक्स बैंक उनका लास्ट 10 साल में क्या ग्रोथ आया है सर our IFA grew by 41% CAGR. Industry IFA grew by 18% CAGR.
Amazing.
So that is the value which platform adds, and I think ये आपका market cap से भी ज़्यादा कमाई है. If you look at in the number of times, I think the retail IFA who has not aligned himself with anybody grew by 5.5 times. My IFA grew by 31 times. 31 times. So I think my humble request to every smaller guy would be either you become an institution or become a part of institution. So either have the growth driver like मैं पहले से सोच रहा था लिस्ट करना है आज से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बनाना चालू करो या तो किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का हिस्सा बन जाओ बीच में रहोगे तो कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे.
Amazing. Amazing. Padmanabh Shenoy has asked a couple of questions, which I think I'll just ask it to be sent to you. Is Fund Bazaar a B2B or B2C platform? Do you have a plan for regular plans only or direct plans? Do you have an RM model? What are the fees for an MFD proposing to be attached to Prudent? If you want to answer that quickly, otherwise I can ask these questions to be sent across to you. They're detailed.
I think the Fund Bazaar is B2C. And the entire Fund Bazaar is available to our MFD in that desk where they can look at the entire portfolio. Only thing is that they can just initiate the transaction, customer को execute करना है. We do not offer any direct plan. It is a pure distribution model, and we believe the power of advisory is very, very important. And it's very difficult for you to take the fees from the retail client. So I think manufacturing regular plan is very, very powerful. We do not have any kind of, we do not charge anything for any of the IFA or MFD to associate with Prudent. I think it's a very plug and play. अगर आपका ARN है, कल से आप Prudent के साथ जुड़ जाइए, आप business चालू कर लीजिए. I think we'll have the revenue sharing with you. So I think it's very vanilla and plain, sir.
Super. Aksharaj talks about the fact that this has been a wonderful webinar. Thank you, Aksharaj. It's a very interesting question he's asking. He's saying, if you were to start your journey today, what would you have done differently?
I think no regrets in whatever I have done in last couple of years, because if I have to start journey today, I think I'll be a part of some platform for sure, because I knew last 2025 the kind of efforts which we have put in. अगर आज मुझे जीरो से चालू करना तो या तो मैं ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बना के चालू करूंगा या किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का पार्ट बनूंगा, and that is very clear. I'll not remain in between, which has happened in my first phase of career from 2000 to 2007, where we struggled to establish, right? But the moment we become a B2B2C partner network, I think हमारा growth significantly अच्छा है. So I think I believe is that, and I'll have a very strong focus on, because the point is when you start at zero, आपके पास बहुत सारे baggages नहीं होते sir. So even I wish that I can have a very strong, very light technology platform from day one. Right, a lot of things which you can do when you, I think there's Jeff Bezos says the zero day mentality, right? So I think आज अगर कुछ करना होगा तो बहुत सारी चीज अच्छी कर सकता हो, but then you don't have that option.
True. But I like to answer that, in case you want to start off today, be an institution or be part of an institution. I think this is very well put. Shweta asks a question, in the race to digitize, where do you see the role of human touch in distribution? And how do you ensure that technology complements it rather than competes with it? It's a very nice question.
No, I think it's a very apt, and we believe that the role of human touch is going to remain. This is the only industry where, because the artificial intelligence or business analysts will not be able to understand the emotions. And our role is probably, and that's why I was referring to that Vanguard or Merrill Lynch or Morningstar report, which said that 150 basis point on an average is added because of managing the emotions. And that's a very, very crucial part. आप किसी के कंधे पे हाथ रख के 2020 में कहोगे सर ये रिडम्पशन का टाइम नहीं है, प्लीज रुक जाइए 6 महीने के लिए, बाद में सोचेंगे. I think that is where lifetime value has been added by you. Right? So I think the understanding the customer, and I think I can tell you this is the industry of a trust. If you win the trust of the client, where client समझता है कि आप मेरा सबसे पहले ध्यान रखोगे and you are going to manage me properly, I think you have won everything. So human touch is very, very essential. और सर फाइनली पैसे का सवाल है.
Yes. I keep saying, comfort is more important than conviction, and that can come primarily from a human touch. Sanjay, by these reports you're talking about, if there are something which is freely available, maybe you could share the links with PMS Bazaar. I'm sure that most of them would like to read and benefit from your expertise. That will be very nice of you. Padmanabh Shanoy again asked about robo model for product portfolio creation. I think to some extent, Padmanabh, he's talked about these baskets which have been created. That is probably what it is. I think here's a friend of yours, Mr. Vijay Arora, who's saying hi to you. Uh, and then Divakar is talking about allocating money to global assets. I think that has already been talked about by Sanjay Bhai, so we'll probably skip this. Again, Sandeep is talking about Gift City. How does NRI tackle the US taxation issues? I think he's talked about Gift City. Would you like to talk about the NRI taxation, NRI and US taxation issues, Sanjay Bhai, or should we move ahead?
There is no change as far as NRI taxation is concerned because when somebody invests through the GIFT City, you do not fall into the taxation of India because you have been treated as foreign and investing from foreign entity. So I think the double taxation नहीं आएगा, tax liability नहीं आ रही है. But the US, whatever rules are there, will remain as it is.
Vimal Kumarji is asking about investors being drawn to familiar names or past performance. How does Prudent as a distributor ensure clients make objective data driven decisions? I think he's answered that. He's talked about the evaluation at least of so many schemes, and there's a white list which comes up. Again, Vijay was saying your story is very inspirational. Prabal is talking about asking about the next frontier in the wealth management. Will it be extremely personalized advisory created specifically for every unique client and communicated by the distributor? This is how you're talking about. I think he's referring to some term called mass customization. Do you think that is something which is going to happen in wealth management going ahead?
So I think to an extent, I think initial phase, like I said, that we have the ready-made combo. So the first phase, there is, I think I can tell you, we have one small combo called शुभ शुरुआत. कुछ भी पता नहीं चल रहा है तो आप बैलेंस एडवांटेज फंड के अंदर और लिक्विड फंड के अंदर या डेट फंड के डाल के अंदर चालू कर दीजिए एसआईपी, राइट? सो दैट कैन डेफिनेटली हैपन वेयर at the initial stage you just want to give him a very quality experience without understanding his any other thing. That can definitely happen where mass onboarding the client with a very small allocation, but the moment you reach to a particular threshold, customer will always require the human intervention, and you want to talk to them, you want to explain them, and probably I can tell you still people are very savvy to give you money. जो 2000 की एसआईपी चालू करते हैं उसके पास 2 लाख है, आप मिलोगे तो 2 लाख आएगा, वरना वो 2 लाख की एसआईपी चालू करके चला जाएगा. So that's the reason even to get more money from the client, human interaction is needed.
Amazing. In fact, while I was hearing you, I would recommend Prabal to read this book called Small Data. Okay. It's what investors do when their actions become big data. It's a book called Small Data. It's been written by an anthropologist called Martin Lindstrom, one of the more amazing books I've read in recent times. Aksharaj talks about digital onboarding. Aksharaj, I think he's already talked about digital onboarding, a plug and play model specifically. I remember that statement. Kirti Kumar Bhai is saying hi to you, Sanjay Bhai. Meenakshi is asking a question. How does Prudent simplify the complex world of AIFs? I think he's mentioned that he's just taking baby steps into that entire thing, and wherever there is complexity, from what I understand from your presentation, Sanjay Bhai, you don't get there. There are enough options available rather than getting into complexity. People are saying Sensible is saying very good, inspirational sort of interview. I'll take this last question or second last question before I go to one of the larger questions which I like. This is about US NRI investing. I think we can skip this. How does artificial intelligence make an impact? I think this is something which we talked about in a way. One question which I wanted to end with, and I'll take the liberty because this came to me by mail and I'm taking that last. What is your view on the recent guidelines which have come in from SEBI on this new asset class, the SIF? Only if you're comfortable answering.
Yeah, sir, I think probably, but still it is very, very early for you to give any comment because if you look at the consultation paper and the heart of this category, I think the view of regulator was to provide you a product which tackle, because आज की तारीख में बहुत सारे लोग बाहर जाके डेरिवेटिव में ट्रेड करते हैं, पैसा गवाते हैं, and then so they wanted to provide some product which insulate, which I think cater to their urge to do a lot of exotic activity, generate the higher return. But if it comes under a purview of regulatory regime, then it will be their money would remain protected. I think if I remember, that was the consultation paper.
Correct.
As of now, if you look at the product which they have talked about allowed, I think they are talking about the equity, debt and REITs. Derivative के बारे में बोला नहीं उन्होंने. So if derivative is not there, then I don't know how this purpose would be achieved, because then it will again remain limited to the scope of equity and the asset allocation, right? आज की तारीख में asset allocation funds आपके पास है, REITs और InvIT को आप ऐड कर दोगे तो शायद I think real estate और I think the infrastructure आपका थोड़ा सा किटी में आ जाएगा, which is limited to 20%. So I think we need to look for more and more clarity to emerge. That is number one. However, I believe that if let us assume that the कुछ ना कुछ चेंजेस के साथ अगर ये आती है तो आई थिंक इट इज गोइंग टू प्रॉब्ली, मेरा मानना है कि जो मिडिल सेगमेंट है जो एक लेवल के ऊपर पहुंचे, who are not able to buy the PMS AIF but they have an urge to buy something different and able to take a more risk, उन लोगों के लिए I think this product will be very very important. And there is a huge gap between 1000 rupee SIP और 5,000 rupees minimum ticket size to a 50 lakhs and 1 crore. उसके बीच में कुछ भी नहीं था, right? So this 10 lakh rupees is going to create that segment which is probably going to be similar to PMS AIF. Important thing would be that I don't know how regulator will take care of proper guidance, advisory, how customer has been communicated about this factor. So I think all nuances has to be understood, sir.
Very good answer. In fact, while you were talking, I think this could be a little bit of a beneficial trend for investors. A, from taking them away from things which were harming the returns, and B, from promoting newer investment avenues. It always makes sense. There's a different generation of people coming. And I think the mutual fund industry, by virtue of their investor education budget, can actually talk in a much more larger scale, at a much more larger scale in terms of the benefits, of this particular thing. So these are interesting days, and I appreciate your candidness because these are very early days. The circular has just come on 17th. So the message which we got, or the question which we got, I think this is a very sensible answer to give. We're all waiting and watching, and let's see how it goes. Sanjay bhai, it has been a great pleasure talking to you. I just didn't know how time went by. And I was actually telling Arjun, I was told and I have experienced that you're not just a very active listener, but you're a very engaging speaker. Okay. So I personally quite enjoyed this entire discussion. And I think Arjun has been repeatedly mentioning that these are pearls of wisdom which we glean from you. Thank you so much for sharing these insights. Thank you so much for being candid. I don't think you held anything back. My fear was that being a public limited company, you would want to say a few things and not, but you are the same. You will not hold back. Thank you so much, Sanjay.
So thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. I was actually feeding off so much of energy that came off you.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.